So at this point, I yield back a bit and take few comments. In the next 2-3 minutes, I will take over again to do a review of who he is and his position.
Please, if you want to raise any concern or ask a question, kindly raise your hand in the chat box so that there can be orderliness. Thank you.
All right, for time's sake, if there is no comment on the overview of what we've done so far, I quickly...
I think Brother William is on.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Your overview has been very loaded, and I think as we talk, we might get back to it. So I'm not going to speak too much on it, but you made some points that I saw that if you could give some clarity. The first one was from the book of Genesis.
Okay.
You said it was written by Moses.
There is a bit of echo. There's echo. I don't know if you can strategically position yourself well so that I can hear you.
Okay. Hold on, let me try again.
Now, is it better?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. You gave a very detailed overview, and I think I might not be able to comment on everything now, but I'll be listening as we go ahead. But I just wanted to point out a few things. The first thing, that if you look at the book of Genesis, the death of Moses is recorded at the ended chapter, if I'm right.
The book of that Deuteronomy or Genesis?
Deuteronomy, so is it Deuteronomy?
Deuteronomy that the death of Moses is recorded, but we've not gotten there. I gave an overview of Genesis.
Okay, so you give an overview of Genesis.
Yes, please.
Okay.
We have not even finished Exodus.
Okay. In the book of Genesis, I was not there when you went through the whole book of Genesis, but you talked a little bit about the gap theory and a few things, and I know maybe you had given some great details on that, but I want to ask a question. First of all, I think as we said, we are Christians, and so we look at things through the light of Jesus Christ. So Jesus Christ is the light in which we read the scriptures. Would you be able to comment why Jesus never spoke about, used Genesis to talk about the physical creation of the earth in any shape or form? Anytime he quoted and he took scriptures from Genesis, neither Jesus nor his apostles did that. So you look at John.
Please, we are listening. I want you to make that statement again. Did you say Jesus or his apostle did not?
I'm saying both Jesus and his apostles never used the book of Genesis to confirm anything about the creation of the earth.
Okay.
As you seek to say.
Thank you.
And if you look at John 1:1, when John uses that scripture in the beginning, let me just, John 1:1. Beginning was the word.
Sorry.
In the beginning was the word was with God, and the word was God.
Okay.
Bible scholars believe that was John's interpretation of Genesis 1:1. And okay, in the beginning was the word. The word there is the word logos, if I am right.
Correct.
And logos, and the word
logos. So that's
yes,
right.
Correct. And the word logos means the reasoning or a message.
All right.
Where we get, let me just finish that quickly.
All right.
Where we get the word logic from.
Okay.
Okay. And so if John was trying to refer to Moses, was John trying to tell us that what Moses had said in the beginning was actually a message that he was trying to explain as we go, and the same was in the beginning, all things were made by him. he now goes to say, in him was life, and the life was the light of men, and we go on and go on and go on. Was this just John's explanation of Genesis, or John was saying something different?
Thank you so much. Please, are you done?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. I've seen Proven Jeff, your hand. I want to take 2 before I respond.
Okay, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Please, sir, I want to know if, we saw the flyer that you posted this morning concerning the statement made by the man of God. If someone has been gullible to allow himself to be captured by this series.
A minute. We have not gone to that. If you can hold on,
okay,
I said a question on the review I have done.
Sir.
I have not given a public statement on that,
sir.
so let's hold on. Also for Wilson, that's the last one
sir.
before I will come to the next set of questions. But I want to take the last comment from Osofo Wilson, then I'll comment on Senior Williams' question. Very important question. Osofo Wilson.
Yes, sir. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you, live and clear.
Yes, sir. Yes. I think the overview was great. I don't know if I can respond a little to the question.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah,
I think someone to help us. So
all right. I think he made a statement that Jesus and his apostles never went to Genesis, right? If I heard you. I asked
a follow-up.
No, I didn't say that.
I'm coming. The reason why I do a lot of interjection is that I want to understand people and accurately represent them. So his question was narrowed. Okay. Initially, I overheard that Jesus and his disciples did not quote or made any allusion or citation or quotation from the book of Genesis. But later on, he said that wasn't his position. He was concerned that why didn't Jesus and his disciples made a case either in confirmation of the Genesis narrative of creation? That is one. And secondly, he wanted to find out my perspective on John's chapter 1, verse 1. Was it an explanation of that narration? I don't know if I heard your question and I've accurately represented your question well, sir.
Yes, you have.
Good. So, Sir Joseph, if you have a comment, and all of you, if you have any comments,
yes,
you're welcome.
All right. I just want to say this. If maybe it's still in line with the question he asked, because creation, we learned in Genesis that the 6th day God made man. Mm-hmm. Okay, so which is part of the creation. And then when Jesus was asked about marriage in Matthew 19, he made reference to that. Beginning. He said, he who made them in the beginning made them male and female. Mm-hmm. And man was the last thing God created in that order after the other things. So if Jesus made reference to the beginning and then the creation of man, and then he said he made them male and female, then Jesus made reference to creation because man was the crowning. So, and that is what I want to say for now. Thank you.
I think my question is again, I think you repeated it. I'm saying that you talked about the gap theory and we talk about creation, the Genesis story being the full creation of the earth as we know it is, and the universe and all the things that compass it. And my question, I repeat again, is that why is that when we come to the what we call the New Testament, Jesus, his apostles, John, if you even look at Paul talks about the God who commanded light to shine out of darkness has shined in our heart the message of Christ. Both of them all linked that scripture, Genesis 1:1, to Christ. And I'm asking that, why is it that nobody ever used that to talk about the physical creation of the earth in any shape or form? And then you also just said about marriage. I just wanted to chip in that he said they were male and female. He never talked about husband and wife, but we can talk about that later on. But I think when you quoted it, you mentioned male and female in it. So I just thought I'll bring that up.
Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate your question, and I would love to comment on your question. Take your comment too on that as a Christian, so that we can all learn from that. And I wish we could have even used the whole day's discussion on that, but that wouldn't be the best option for now. But I'm going to attempt your question. We will still come back to the question again. If you have time for us to meet here, it will be a very interesting time. First point, we have to understand that John chapter 1, in my perspective, in my understanding, predates Genesis chapter 1. That is one first thing we need to understand. And I will not explain further. In my perspective, John chapter 1 verse 1 talks about creation without a specific reference point. Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 also talks about creation with reference point. But I am asserting here that in my perspective and in my understanding, whether linguistically or applying gematria, John chapter 1 verse 1 predates Genesis chapter 1. That throws more light on what transpired even before creation. I want to put that here for now. We will take it up again if you want us to dive deep. 2, John chapter 1 verse 1, en arche o ho logos prostantion. Now, John is the last of the apostles to have written as far as the historical dating of the historical narrative of Jesus' life is concerned. Those who have been following me for some time now knows that I have explained why there are 4 gospels, but not one gospel. If they were to achieve a single goal, then there should have been just one person give us a historical narration of the life of Jesus, motivated theologically. But each of these people have a different focus. John was writing specifically and historically in response to Gentiles, specifically Greeks, who had embraced Gnosticism to the highest point, who believed that if you study the Gnostic heresy then that Apostle John was even responding to, it will still lead us to the creation account, because the Gnostic understanding of creation and how the word came into being and their concept of God was what Apostle John was confronting head on. And the Greek and the Gnostics were people who appealed to the highest form of knowledge. That is why John said, you people, you want knowledge, you want logic, but the apex, the beginning of all your logic is the person of Jesus Christ. That is why he used the word logos. And you quoted 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 6. For God who caused his light to shine in our hearts has given us the knowledge and the glory, all in the person of Jesus Christ. Fantastic verse quoted. Apostle Paul was responding to a cosmopolitan Corinthian church comprising of people who were into Jewish legalism, people of Roman paganistic practices, and then people of high Greek understanding who had come into the church with these backgrounds. And the quintessential expression of the Greeks was knowledge. The quintessential expression of the Jewish people or the Hebrews were light. That is why when you read throughout the Old Testament, the Lord is my light and my salvation. They that sat in darkness have seen the light. And so as far as the Hebrew people were concerned, it was all about light to give them significance in life. The Greeks is all about knowledge. Then the Romans is all about glory, the glory of the Roman Empire. So Apostle Paul here was saying that in the midst of all your definition on how you see life, you can find the true meaning, whether you need knowledge, whether you need light, or whether you need glory. It can all be seen in the face of Jesus Christ. He was correcting doctrinal and practical issues in the church. So he needed to bring their attention back to what they consider to be ultimate in their life. That is the background and the context of Apostle Paul's usage of the three multidimensional perspectives of the three leading worldviews then in Corinthians. But in John, he was specifically addressing those with Gnostic tendencies. So the usage of the word logos in the Greek language does not necessarily or only means reasoning as you have used. Yes, contextually, and the people he was responding to, it could mean reasoning, it can mean study, it can also mean logic or the science of knowing something. And so when he used the word logos in that context, he was responding to a particular problem. Now, finally, why didn't they make a specific reference or response to whether the earth was literally created in had that 6,000 or whatever years, or the gap theory? I do not think it was an issue of dispute within that time. And I've been telling my people that anyone who read the New Testament without its historical background is like a student who has gone to exam room and you start providing answers before the question paper is given. So the issue of whether or not the earth was created within the time we described traditionally or as Moses narrated it was not a question of dispute. That is why it was not addressed in that context. That is what I would say. But if you have a comment, I'll just give a minute, then quickly I'll begin the part one of my review of the issue in circulation. Then we'll take it from there.
Hello, Elder.
Just a quick one. So what you just said is that
somebody is saying that, please, one at a time. Sir Williams, you are the only one I gave the opportunity. Okay.
A quick one, and then so you just said that the book of John, John chapter 1, predates what Moses writes.
That is my thesis this evening. I would want to engage you on. Okay,
so I just want to get that the book of John predates what was written by Moses.
That is not what I said. That is not what I said. I said.
Okay. Let me repeat it. Let me repeat again what I think I heard you say. From what you said that what John wrote predates what Moses wrote.
You are still too open with the statement. I made a specific statement.
Okay. Can you come back again on that? And then I'm done. I just want to get
chapter 1, verse 1 predates Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, if you want to take it chronologically.
Perfect. So what you are telling, what you say that your thesis is that John 1:1 predates Genesis 1:1. Chronologically.
Yes.
It means that John had information that Moses did not put in his book.
We can take that when we continue on with this discussion. I subscribe to progressive revelation, and every term I use for beginning of this submission, I still hold on to that. Progressive revelation. So it is possible, and it is consistent with what you have said. John and the New Testament authors might have gotten a deeper revelation than the Old Testament author, because St. Augustine said the Old Testament is the New Testament concealed, and the New Testament is the Old Testament revealed. Therefore, it is consistent to make an allusion or an argument that there are certain passages in the New Testament which might give us a better picture of reality than the Old Testament.
Very, 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 I don't agree, but very well. I get it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Reverend Kalai, a word. I think our time is fast spent already, but I will have to give an introduction to the issue at stake. Reverend Kalai.
All right. Thank you very much, Elder.
Shalom alaikum.
Aleichem shalom. So I think that it's wonderful the way you approached the question, but I just wanted to add something small, like you have been saying, a footnote. Yes, first century Jews who believed in Judaism and then have become followers of Christ will definitely not have questions on the creation account.
Exactly.
And since it was something that the community believed, they wouldn't discourse on that because it's general. Whilst you become a man, you will be familiar with the account of Genesis, and then according to their religion at the time, it was something that they believed. And so Jesus's followers who had become, who were Jews and had become Christians, would definitely not see it as a pressing issue that they will want to comment on. Then quickly on the Logos issue. This maybe you may want to read on, to the brother that asked the question, you may want to read on pre-Socratic philosophers. And we have people like Thales, who had some insights about what Logos is. And like you were explaining, they had these thoughts. The word Logos in the ancient Greek language has a variety of meanings. And one of the meanings that were sustained has to do with a force that holds the universe together. And so you can also consider the works of Philo, a Jewish philosopher who also wrote on Logos. And so by John coming in his introduction, Enarche in Hologos tells us that John had some philosophical influence, or probably he had some training in philosophy. John, being a Christian and somebody that has walked with Jesus, the Logos that the pre-Socratics have been teaching, and particularly a philosopher like Heraclitus had influence.
Oh, network.
His teaching on these Gnostics propounded they are teaching so much on that Logos thing. So John, having some understanding in the philosophy at the time, sought to bring some clarity to the world of philosophy by his introduction. It was actually one Cerentus, a Gnostic, who was so much propounding that theory to confuse the Christian teaching at the time. So John went philosophical to bring clarity to what Logos actually was. You know that philosophers were trying to bring answers to existential problems. What men did not have answers to, the gaps in life, they were trying to fill it. However, John from the Spirit had a better understanding of what, you know, there are people that have had some encounters in life, particularly philosophers, but it was not quite meaningful to them. So they have left them in check, like they have left some blanks. Like Paul mentioned that when one of the Stoic philosophers said, in him we live, move, and have our being, he was actually referring to Elohim. That one we can discuss some other time. And so all that I am trying to say.
That is why
Come
I
again,
said
sir.
I didn't want us to dive deep into this. We want to have a special time with him on that.